welcome to the Your Parenting Mojo podcast. I'm here today with a listener, Anne. Anne, thanks so much for joining us. It's so great to see you.
Hello, good to see you too.
So I wonder if you could tell us maybe a little bit about your family and yourself as well, and and we're going to talk about kind of a transformation that's happened in your parenting over the last couple of years. So maybe you can just set the stage by telling us a bit about who you are and who you live with.
Sure. So my name is Anne, and I have a 2.5-year-old son, Anderson. And we live with his father, my husband, Jeff. And let's see, I work in STEM education for university. I really like what I do. And it's nice. I have great work-life balance. So that's awesome too. We live in Arizona, Flagstaff, Arizona. So it's actually snowy here today.
Yes, you're getting all the snow and we're getting all the sun.
Yes, strange weather this week.
Yeah. So I wonder if you can tell me about some things that are important to you as an individual and the values that you really had as you were thinking about having children and starting to raise a child.
Right. Yeah. So I actually did put quite a bit of thought into this. I was about 2.5 years ready before I had my son. So I thought a lot about what kind of world I was bringing him into and what kind of world I wanted to set up for him, and what our values might be. Above all, I believe in just compassion, empathy, equity, respect for all people, including, and that doesn't exclude anyone, even people that exclude other people, for instance. And also to some degree, just the ecosystem. So the living and non-living things in our life, and I try to live by that, and I'd like to raise my son to live by that as well.
Yeah. And so you joined the Finding Your Parenting Mojo membership a couple of years ago, and I wonder if you can tell me a little bit about what was going on in your mind when you made that decision to join. What were you trying to achieve?
Oh, yes. Good questions. My goals have shifted a little bit. At the time, it was my goal, to have my son speak Spanish and to be versed in coding and all these things. And I really just wanted to be like the perfect parent. I wanted to give him the stage set for any kind of life that he wanted to live. And that was very exhausting. Not possible really. So when I joined, I was really looking to become like the perfect parent, but what it's done is much different than that, right?
A little bit.
It certainly helped me grow as a parent, but it's also helped me shift my perspective as to kind of where I want to put my energy and how to make it effective for priorities.
And how did that process start for you?
So it started, I guess, by reading guides, listening to your podcast, and kind of checking out some ancillary materials, that you have provided. And then also, I think the big leap for me was participating in the membership calls. So interacting with other people that share the same goals, creating kind of a community, and just seeing the different examples of ways people are doing it, and how they're fitting it into their lives. It really started to shift things in my life, as opposed to just absorbing massive amounts of information.
There's a common tendency, isn't it? Is when we feel like something isn't right, that it's just that we haven't read the right book yet. We just need more information.
Right. Yeah. Well, I read a lot of books. It didn't change a lot about what I was doing.
Yeah. And so, what do you think might have happened if you'd gone down that path that you were on? Where do you think that would have taken you as a parent and in your relationship with your son?
Um, Good question. I did reach a tipping point kind of with my exhaustion. And yeah, just reached a level of anxiety that was alarming. And we all realized as a family, oh, wait, we need to change something here. This isn't working. So yeah, I was just very kind of overwhelmed and filled with anxiety mostly. And I wonder, if that tipping point hadn't have happened and I just kind of kept chugging along on that path, I think some possible outcomes could have been parental burnout, work life burnout, potentially even divorce, hopefully not, but those things that tend to happen when you just kind of keep chugging along in a fear-based anxious state. So I'm happy to be off that track.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I wonder then if you can tell us a bit about how this transformation happened between that place where you were that was very fear and anxiety based to what seems like a very different path. What was the beginning of that like?
Yeah. So, I mean, like with all transformative change, that it came from multiple directions, right? There was some of the different topics we covered in the membership group, like parenting as a team, pairing with your partner, and that kind of brought in the marriage aspect, like how can I improve my relationship to improve my parenting? And then goal setting, and reducing anxiety, self-compassion, all these things that, these ideas that I hadn't really been introduced to in any sort of helpful way before. So, it starts with the idea and then just trying to incorporate it. Like, okay, here's a situation where I recognize this is what's happening. How can I actually incorporate what I'm learning about and hearing about and talking about with other people into this? How can I bring that into this situation? So it's been like kind of a practice. And yeah, like talking about things that here's a situation that happened in the past and I anticipate it's going to happen again. Like bringing up those examples and talking through, well, how could I have done this better, or what can I do next time? So the difference is bringing it into your personal life as a practice. And being able to talk with you, being able to talk with other parents on this journey about what they might do in your specific situation really makes the difference, I think.
Yeah, and I've been impressed in the times that we've interacted on our group calls. You lay yourself out there and you get kind of vulnerable, and it's not required. There are some people who will definitely kind of hold things back, and they're looking for a situation or a solution to a certain situation. But you will kind of say, this is what's going on for me right now, and it's hard. And I think that really allows us to get below the surface level. Well, my child's misbehaving. What do I do? To what's really underneath this, and how do we work on that stuff? Because that's the stuff of life, right? That's that's the really important stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, being vulnerable is extremely important to growth. And yeah, every time that I have been vulnerable on these calls and our groups and everything like that, it's helped me get out of that. Whatever undesirable situation I'm in that I may not want to share because I'm embarrassed, I'm able to actually move through it, and then it's no longer an issue. So I don't even have to be embarrassed about it anymore because it's not there anymore. So I think it's really important, and it helps to have the community that will be supportive, to be able to bring those things up with.
I wonder if you can talk us through a specific challenge that you've had, and something that maybe it just seemed like there wasn't a way out of this paper bag, and then how that shifted for you. Is there an example that pops to mind?
Yes, I mean, there's a lot of examples. There's so many things that I've worked through after, a lifetime of really not addressing them this year. Gosh, let me think. So, let's see. Yeah, I think one really surprising thing out of this, improve my parenting goal, which I'm a part of here, is that it's actually helped me address some things in my relationship with my mother, which has always been very complicated. We just have gone through several periods of, not getting along to kind of tolerating each other and then going back into the not getting along. And so one of the things that I was able to do in the member, just through kind of these interactions with the community, is kind of stand up to her about some non-inclusive political beliefs that she was just spouting. And, I've never really stood up to my mother for myself. I've always just kind of changed the subject or walked away, or, just sit there and listen with a scowl on my face or something like that. And so kind of when we were talking about this, like how to raise anti-racist children, how to be less anti-racist yourself, or less racist, more anti-racist yourself. I flip-flop those, it's terrible. Then I was thinking, I need to stand up to her about this thing. And so she said something that I didn't agree with. It was about like blue versus pink diapers or something. And I was just, and I found it offensive, and I was like, I'm upset that you said that. And that's all it took. I didn't have to elaborate. I didn't have to try to present any data, any like nothing. That's all it took. And she basically, like, I'd never stood up to my mother about anything. So that gave me the confidence to stand up to her about stuff that mattered to me in my relationship with her, in my son's relationship with her. And since I've kind of been able to address some of these things head on as they come up, and be like, hey, I don't want you to treat my son that way, or I don't want you to treat me that way. That's not fair. And she's been like, and to her credit, she's been super responsive and very apologetic. And so it's a two-way street, right? But if you never stand up for yourself, then you never would know, right? And you'd never have the opportunity to improve the situation. So our relationship, my relationship with my mother, has improved, as well as my son's relationship with his grandmother.
Yeah, I didn't know you were going to bring up this example, but I'm remembering that you recently visited with her, right? And had a kind of a breakthrough in that relationship. Would you mind telling us about that?
Yeah, so we visited for 3 weeks because, COVID world, and like, if you're going to travel, and I'm working from home anyway, so where does it matter where I am? So we visited for 3 weeks, which was an extremely long amount of time. And at one point, I'm packing for a weekend with my husband and my son. We were going to take their camper and kind of get away from the vacation from a vacation. And my son wanted to pack some blocks that my mother had bought him to play with. Well, she kind of has her own thing about toys, and what's hers, and things mean a lot to her. And I was totally triggered because I was like, in my inner childhood, I'm like, you never let me play with the toys I wanted to play with. And, you always controlled the way I played with them. And now that you're telling my 2-year-old son that he can't take these blocks that you bought him, like, I'm super triggered. So I just, I threw an adult tantrum and I was just throwing the blocks in the bag. And then later when we kind of came together to reconcile and apologize, I was like, you know what? I was triggered. I was triggered because of trauma from childhood that I had around toys, and that you wouldn't let me play with toys the way I wanted to. You wouldn't let me play with certain toys. They always had to be how you saw them and which toys, and it was just very controlling. And so she was basically like, wow, okay, I'm really sorry I did that. And then fast forward 3 days, she was like, I remember doing this to you. I remember that American Girl doll that you wanted, not getting it for you, buying you a porcelain doll that you weren't allowed to play with. I remember these things. And I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
Wow.
Yeah.
First time I'm hearing all the details is giving me the shivers.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, no, it was really, and through that process too, I was kind of able to remember some good things about that. Like, because I wasn't allowed to play with toys, I just went outside. So I have a lifelong love of the outdoors. So, I mean, that's not too bad. And, it's kind of, it's just, and how could my mother have known how that would affect me? Like, she don't know what you don't know. And she has her childhood stuff about toys. And so I was able to forgive her completely.
How did that feel?
Amazing. Like, I don't even mind talking to her on the phone now. Like, it's awesome.
Wow.
That hasn't always been the case.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. That's amazing to hear. That's really amazing to hear. And how has this shifted your relationship with your son as well?
Yeah. So prior to this, my relationship with my son, I was just filled with anxiety about being the perfect parent. And so being around him was exhausting for me. And I felt I felt this desperate need to jumpstart my career again because I needed the time away. And it wasn't even, now I realize it wasn't even time away from him. It was time away from my head trying to be the perfect parent. Like, it was time away from me trying to fill this role that was impossible. And so once I released that, like, I actually don't have to be the perfect parent. Like, if I make a mistake, I can apologize.
Wow.
I know. And just tell him I made a mistake. And then that teaches him how to apologize and how to recover from mistakes. And it's amazing. So once I was able to release the stress and the anxiety of trying to be perfect around him, I was able to get close to him and be there with him. And like, now I thoroughly enjoy my time with him. Like, I block out hours of quality time, every day. And if it can't happen every day, it happens double the next. And we like connect and we have fun together. And, if he's having a tough time, I'm there for him and we're able to connect through that. And it's very, very enjoyable to be his mother now. And obviously, like, he feels more comfortable around me because I'm relaxed and I'm there for him. So he's been able to like open up and be more of himself as well.
Wow.
Yeah, even with a 2.5-year-old, like, seeing that personality shining through is beautiful. It really.
So I'm just wondering if you could kind of draw it together. How does it feel right now, this path that you're on? How does it feel for you? where you are right now and where you see yourself going?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I feel super optimistic, very hopeful, and yeah, very inspired just by my own situation. Like look at all I've accomplished. Like I can do even more, like all these things that still bother me. They're problems that I can solve. They're not just nebulous states of reality that I have no control over. So yeah, I feel really great about it. When I dig into one of those things, it's achy, it's painful, it's growing pains, but it's good because I'm actually able to solve these things and I'm able to move on from them, not have them be this like burden, this heavy thing that's dragging me down. So yeah, I feel awesome about it.
Is there one nugget of wisdom that you'd like to share with people who are listening?
Oh gosh. I mean, the power lies in you. Like your attention directed at yourself changes, it just creates ripple effects. If you change yourself, it just sends those out into the world. And all these people that you're trying to control, all these situations you're trying to control, just let that go. And if you change how you respond to things and how you approach things, then all of those problems seem to magically just kind of reconcile themselves because, like, I'm not saying it's everything. Like, I can't change the national political climate, but, I can actually change my family's attitudes towards like, how we interact with each other over politics, right? So like it actually kind of softens the divide a little bit, just doing your own inner work. So it's amazing. It's very powerful.
We need a lot of softening in the world right now.
Yes. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
We do.
Thank you so much for being here and sharing your experience with us. It's truly been my honor to walk alongside you on this journey and to see this happen kind of stage by stage and see you incorporate all this learning and take it on and not just cognitively understand it, but live it. You truly live it. It's been my honor to work with you.
Yes, and thank you for bringing this approach into my life. It has been truly transformative.
Awesome. Well, if anyone who's listening would like to learn more about the memberships, you can go to yourparentingmojo.com and find all the information there. Thanks again for being with us, Anne. It was a real pleasure talking with you.
Thank you.